Pharmacology of diabetes mellitus. That is the treatment of diabetes mellitus. Pancreas. The pancreas has three types of cells: alpha cells, beta cells and gamma cells. The alpha cells secrete glucagon, beta cells secrete insulin, C-peptide and most importantly amylin. Delta cells secrete somatostatin. This is the structure of pancreas. Next, the diagnosis of diabetes mellitus. The fasting blood glucose should be greater than 126 mg per deciliter. Postprandial blood glucose greater than 200 mg per deciliter. Random blood glucose greater than 200 mg per deciliter. These should be present along with the symptoms of hyperglycemia, that is polyuria, increased urination, polydipsia, increased thirst, and polyphagia, increased hunger. And HbA1c, that is the glycated hemoglobin, should be greater than 6.5%. This is the diagnosis of diabetes mellitus. Let's now see the types of diabetes mellitus. It is of two types, type 1 diabetes mellitus and type 2 diabetes mellitus. Type 1 is insulin dependent diabetes mellitus. Type 2 is non-insulin dependent diabetes mellitus. So in type 1, there is decreased insulin secretion, or the insulin secretion is completely absent because of the destruction of the pancreas. In type 2 diabetes mellitus, there is decreased insulin sensitivity and the insulin production is normal here. And this is the most common type of diabetes mellitus seen. Type 1 is juvenile onset, that is it is early onset, and type 2 is mature onset diabetes mellitus. The treatment for type 1 diabetes mellitus is insulin, and the treatment of type 2 is oral hypoglycemic agents. The structure of insulin. The proinsulin is made up of three chains: A chain, B chain, which are joined by the C chain. When it converts to mature insulin, the C chain breaks out. So there is only A and B chain. A chain is made up of 31 amino acids. B chain is made up of 20 amino acids. So mature insulin is a polypeptide of 51 amino acids. The A and B chains are connected by two disulfide bonds, and there is an intra-chain disulfide bond within the A chain. This is the structure of insulin. The action of insulin. Insulin acts via tyrosine kinase receptor. Overall, it is an hypoglycemic hormone. That is, it decreases the blood sugar level. So let's see its action in different tissues. First is liver. In liver, it increases glucose uptake. It promotes glycogenesis, that is formation of glycogen. Inhibits glycogenolysis, that is breakdown of glycogen into glucose. And inhibits gluconeogenesis, synthesis of new glucose from non-carbohydrate source. So thereby, by all these processes, insulin decreases the blood glucose level. Action on muscle. It increases glucose uptake by the muscle and inhibits proteolysis, that is the breakdown of protein. And in adipose tissue, the insulin increases the glucose uptake and it stores the glucose as fat and glycogen. And also, the insulin inhibits the lipolysis. So in muscle and adipose tissue, insulin is an anabolic hormone. The types of insulin preparations. Rapidly acting insulin. Examples are aspart insulin, lispro insulin and glulisin insulin. They are used to control postprandial hyperglycemia as they are rapidly acting. So the onset of action starts in 15 minutes and the action peaks at 1 to 1.5 hours. Next is short acting insulin. For this, regular insulin is used. The onset is half an hour to 1 hour and it peaks at 2 to 3 hours. Intermediate acting insulin. For this, lente insulin is used, which is made up of 30% semi-lente and 70% ultra-lente. The semi-lente is short acting and the ultra-lente is long acting. So this is combined, which gives us intermediate acting property. So the intermediate acting insulin, the onset is 1 to 2 hours and it peaks at 8 to 10 hours. Isophane insulin is also an intermediate acting insulin. Next, long acting insulin. Examples are insulin glargine, insulin detamar and ultra-lente insulin. The action of these starts at 1 to 4 hours and it peaks at 12 to 24 hours. These are the types of insulin preparations. See about oral anti-diabetic drugs. These are of three categories. Drugs which increase insulin secretion, the drugs which increase glucose excretion, and the drugs which increase the insulin sensitivity. So first, drugs increasing the insulin secretion. The drugs used are sulfonyl ureas, meglitinides and dipeptidyl peptidase 4 inhibitors, referred to as DPP4 inhibitors. The sulfonyl ureas and meglitinides are ATP sensitive potassium channel blockers. So they are ATP sensitive potassium channel blockers. Let's see the mechanism of action of sulfonyl urea and meglitinides. Normally, when glucose enters the cell, it generates ATP, and increased levels of ATP inhibits the potassium channel. As these potassium channels are ATP sensitive, they are sensitive to ATP. Increased levels of ATP inhibit the potassium channel. So the sulfonyl ureas and meglitinides act by this pathway. They increase the ATP, thereby leading to inhibition of ATP sensitive potassium channels. So the potassium does not enter outside, rather it remains inside the cell. So there is increased concentration of potassium inside the beta cell. The normal resting membrane potential is minus 70 millivolts. When the ATP sensitive potassium channel is blocked, there is increased potassium inside the cell. So the new resting membrane potential generated is minus 50 millivolt as the cell is depolarized. As the sodium remains inside, the cell becomes depolarized. So this depolarization increases the insulin release. By this mechanism, the sulfonyl urea and meglitinides increase the insulin release and hence act as oral anti-diabetic drugs. The uses of sulfonyl urea and meglitinides, they are used to decrease blood glucose level. This is obvious, and the side effects caused by them is hypoglycemia and weight gain. Examples of sulfonyl urea group of drugs are tolbutamide, chlorpromide, glibenclamide, glipizide and glimepiride. So all these drugs end with IDE, IDE. The most commonly used sulfonyl urea is glimepiride. Next, examples of meglitinides, nateglinide and rapaglinide. They end with the word glinide as they are meglitinides. Next is DPP4 inhibitors, that is dipeptidyl peptidase 4 inhibitors. These are gliptin group of drugs which are saxagliptin, vildagliptin, tenaligliptin and linagliptin. The mechanism of action of dipeptidyl peptidase 4 inhibitors. After food, the food stimulates the production of insulin. So insulin leads to the release of glucagon-like peptide 1, glucagon-like peptide 2 and gastric inhibitory peptide. All these are produced in the intestine, among which the glycogen-like peptide 1, the action is it increases the insulin release, decreases glucagon release, it decreases the gastric emptying and also it decreases the appetite. So by all these properties, this is used for weight loss. And the glucagon-like peptide 1 is broken down with the help of enzyme DPP4. And these DPP4 inhibitors inhibit this enzyme and thereby prevent the breakdown of glucagon-like peptide 1 and hence it increases the action of GLP-1. Thereby it acts as oral hypoglycemic drug. The second class of drugs are the drugs increasing the glucose excretion. Two categories of drugs: SGLT2 inhibitors, that is sodium glucose cotransport 2 inhibitors, and alpha glucosidase inhibitors. Firstly, let's see about SGLT2 inhibitors. The drugs are gliflozin group of drugs, dapagliflozin, empagliflozin and canagliflozin. This is the normal structure of a nephron. Normally, the glucose is filtered in the glomerulus, of which 70% is reabsorbed back in the proximal convoluted tubule with the help of SGLT2. So there is glucose reabsorption along with sodium. Sodium glucose co-transported to its maximum concentration is in proximal convoluted tubule, of which 70% of the filtered glucose is reabsorbed. These drugs, SGLT2 inhibitors, inhibit this channel. So the glucose is not reabsorbed and it is excreted in the urine. The uses of these drugs are they decrease the glucose absorption and also decrease the blood glucose level, promote the excretion of glucose. The side effect of these drugs are they cause urinary tract infections. These are SGLT2 inhibitors. Next are alpha glucosidase inhibitors. This is the gastrointestinal system. The polysaccharides are converted to monosaccharides with the help of enzyme alpha glucosidase. And then the monosaccharides are entered into the blood. So these drugs like acarbose, voglibose and miglitol, these are alpha glucosidase inhibitors. So they inhibit the enzyme alpha glucosidase and thereby they act as oral hypoglycemic agents, as they prevent the absorption of monosaccharides into the blood, thereby decreasing the blood glucose level. The uses of these drugs are they decrease glucose absorption and thereby they decrease the blood glucose level. They are used for the treatment of postprandial increase in blood glucose. So they are taken just before the meal. Side effects. These drugs are contraindicated in patients with inflammatory bowel disease. And these drugs are hepatotoxic. The alpha glucosidase inhibitors are contraindicated in patients with inflammatory bowel disease and they are also hepatotoxic. These are about alpha glucosidase inhibitor drugs. The third group of drugs are the drugs which increase the insulin sensitivity. There are two groups of drugs, biguanide and thiazolidinediones. The mechanism of action of biguanides in liver, they inhibit the glucose production, muscle and adipose tissue, they increase the sensitivity of insulin. In GIT, they decrease the absorption of glucose. Their side effects are they cause nausea and vomiting. They can increase lactic acidosis and they are contraindicated in renal failure as they are excreted via urine. The example of biguanide is metformin. This is nowadays the most commonly used drug for treating type 2 diabetes mellitus. Next is thiazolidinediones. Their mechanism of action. They stimulate the GLUT4 gene present in the nucleus of the adipocytes, leading to increased production of GLUT4 receptors, glucose transporter 4 receptors, and thereby it increases the expression of these GLUT4 receptors on the surface of the adipocyte. As their concentration increases, more amount of glucose from the blood is transported into the adipocytes. So it thereby decreases the blood glucose level. The mechanism of action is it increases GLUT4 and thereby increases the glucose absorption and decreases the blood glucose level. This is about thiazolidinediones. Example is pioglitazone. Example for biguanide is metformin. Example of thiazolidinediones is pioglitazone. And that is all about diabetes mellitus treatment. Thank you.